Okay, Jake, we talked about it all off season. One of our favorite teams heading into the 2021 season. And by favorite teams, I do not mean talented team. I do not mean good team. I just mean what is going on team. Because, those are the best teams. So let's talk about the Houston Texans and David Culley. What are your thoughts?
Well, you and I both agreed during the offseason when we ranked the new head coaching hires, which, by the way, you had Urban Meyer at 1, which is hilarious. Um, we,
Yeah,
we
but
both
we can talk about that a little at the end of the episode as
yeah,
well because I had someone else high that you really hated, and I don't think any other head coach that got hired this offseason really has done as well as the one specific guy that I had ranked highly that you said sucked. So let's just
yeah.
keep that in mind, but we'll get back
Let's
to
just
that.
focus on what we agreed on, and that's David Culley being the worst head coaching hire. We both agreed on that. We couldn't foresee the Urban Meyer stuff because definitely would have been dead last for us there. But David Culley, we both thought he's getting hired to get fired. That's just all that it was. The Texans couldn't get their guy, or the guy that they wanted to be the head coach wasn't available, or whatever the case was. So they hired David Culley to be a placeholder. But I said this jokingly when we talked about the Texans. If David Culley can get the team more than 3 wins, he deserves a statue outside the stadium. Or I said something like that when we broke down the Texans earlier in the offseason, or early in the offseason. And he did just that. And they fired him, which is ridiculous. He deserves at least one more season with them. It's so stupid that he got fired after winning 4 games with that terrible roster.
I think that yeah, no. I mean, I don't know. I'm just like, okay, the owner let's backtrack. The reason we both said that he was the worst coaching hire is partially because of the fact that we were like, why would you hire Baltimore's passing game coordinator? But then again, I wasn't even really digging in past that point because we both agreed they were hiring him to fire him. And that definitely seems like that's what they did. They had no intention of keeping him at all. However, I think that I think that you need to stop and reevaluate a situation after you get to see how it plays out, right? And I think both of us were like, maybe the Texans will win 2 games if they're lucky this year. If they're lucky, and somehow they won 4 games, 2 of which came against the Tennessee Titans and the Los Angeles Chargers, which are 2 teams that I think we would both say that we think very highly of in the AFC. So why if we both think that, and then I would think that the Texans ownership would think the same thing, why would they not be able to reevaluate at the end of the season and say, okay, this guy overachieved, and he overachieved so much, and the players seem to like him, and he seems to have a good grasp of what's going on here, that, like, I think we can actually build around this, considering we don't even have any player that has been worth anything to this organization in the past 4 years is gone now. Like, any of them. It doesn't matter who you want to pick. Like, they're all gone. So, how can we say that, like, what were they expecting from him? If we were to say that he wasn't hired to get fired, what do you think? Is there any argument to be made there? Were they saying, oh, you need to get to 6 wins with this awful roster?
I think the Texans are just such a poorly run organization that it wouldn't matter. They had that set in their head that this is what's going to happen. It doesn't matter how he plays out. But the thing that I really hate about it is, like you said, the players liked him, and that's a really tough thing with a coach. Like, you could bring in someone and he could coach the team well, but if the players don't like him, it doesn't really matter. The players really like David Culley, and watching some of his press conferences that he had towards the tail end of the season, where reporters were asking him about his job security, or if he was stressed out about it. He's like, I have the best job in the world. I get to coach these guys. I'm the head coach of the Houston Texans. I have the best job in the world. How can I be upset or stressed about anything right now? And like that's just awesome to see from a guy. And then the organization just look at that and be like, yeah, but you're not Eric Bieniemy, and then like toss him aside.
I don't know. Let's hope Eric Bieniemy actually gets hired this year, because I mean, oh my gosh, I'm not even sure that's a guarantee at this point. Last thing I'll say on this topic is that we may be sitting in the same situation. Who knows, 1 week or 2 weeks, or it could be even longer. But with Rich Bisaccia and the Raiders, and just being like, oh, geez, well, everybody likes him there too, and they may just be like, we'll move on.
Yeah,
We'll,
especially with that Harbaugh news that is out there, or rumor, not news, but I'd hate that. I would hate that. This dude took over the most. The Texans might be the worst. The Raiders were the most dysfunctional organization this whole season, and he stepped in and righted the ship in some sort of way, somehow, which seems impossible in retrospect, just looking at it. Like, how uh does that, gets him to the playoffs somehow, and then if they lose this weekend, he just gets booted out. That's so stupid.
yeah,
That's so stupid.
yeah. Now, only because you touched on it at the beginning, I need to bring it back up. Um, because the other guy that, I mean, yeah, Urban Meyer was terrible, but a guy that you said you had absolutely no faith in because he was so timid and whatnot, and he wasn't good in front of the media or whatever, is Nick Sirianni. And you know what's interesting is let's look through the teams in the playoffs from everybody we could rank for new head coaching hires. Am I missing somebody, or is Nick Sirianni the only new head coach this year that happened to make the playoffs? Also, may I add one more?
Tie away.
May I add one more thing here, in that there was only one team that outdid themselves in terms of how well I thought they could play this season, being the Cincinnati Bengals. The Philadelphia Eagles are the second most overachieving team in my mind this season. So I think that has a lot to do with coaching, unlike other teams, because I think with a team like the Bengals, I could say, hey, that Burrow and that Chase kid, yeah, they're doing something insane. Meanwhile, the Eagles, it's almost all on the coaching, and I would say that I'm glad that I made that call with Sirianni, even though you said he was too timid.
No, I will give Sirianni his props. His beard, very distracting whenever they put the camera on him, though, so I can't give him props there. But no, he, at the start of the season, they were shaky and they did not look good, and it was kind of what I expected from him. But he adapted and changed his game plan throughout the course of the season, which good head coaches do. And to see him do that was great, because there are some coaches that even still have jobs now that are like just get so stuck in their way that it's like, no, we're not going to run the ball. And that's what it was for like the first handful of games at the start of the season, was we're just not going to run the ball at all. And then they got more into it, and the run game was efficient, running more RPOs, running more option plays with Jalen Hurts, and the offense started like really taking off with that. Uh, and also, I think the Gardner Minshew trade lit a fire under Jalen Hurts too, to perform perform better as well. So yeah, Nick Sirianni. I was wrong about him. I am definitely giving him some props, because I thought that he was just gonna be playing rock paper scissors with draft prospects and waiting for his offensive coordinator to tell him what to do, but he really took charge and changed his game plan to make the playoffs and maybe upset Brady.
Listen, if that happens this weekend, that'll be great. Wouldn't it be great if both the Pennsylvania teams found a way to win this weekend? That would be the really fun thing.
That'd be the worst Super Bowl ever.
Dude, could you imagine? Could you imagine? Man, okay. Well, it looks like we got a little bit around all sorts of young head coaching stuff there. So that's really what I wanted to hit on for this one.
Yeah, Rick Bisaccia and David Culley, real young bucks.
I meant new, new to their games.
New blood, yeah. New kids on the block.
Yeah. So you want to add anything else, or you all set?
No, I think we can cut this here.